Well, it's getting very interesting, folks. As always, I'm Al. This is the Geek in Review, and I'm going to be talking in detail about Foundation Episode 9, The First Crisis. So if you haven't seen it, this will contain spoilers. Wow, there's so much happening in this episode. The place to start is with Gal, and basically what she says is she's theorising about what history is. Is it a story or a fact? And that's a good question, and it's hinting at the fact that there is about to be history made with the first crisis happening. Now, there's so much happening in this episode, I don't know where to start, so I will be following the individual character storylines rather than how the story was presented in the episode. So what is the young clone brother Don up to? Well, he's still plotting his escape, and he needs to get those nanobots out of himself so his brothers and the Empire can't track him, which is ironic because his brother had them removed last week when he was going on the spiral. Now, I'm shocked at how quickly this story's picked up pace. I thought this was going to be a slow burner where he kind of has to betray his brothers and in a sense betray himself because they're clones really, aren't they? But he's got a lot to deal with. First of all, he might be getting revealed himself. He goes to meet Brother Dusk back at the Painting of History, and he does mention the Robot Wars, and he's also painting the day when he was Brother Day, if you remember that in the first few episodes. And he's just finished a scene which is reenacting the shooting or the hunting, which happened I think about 3 or 4 episodes ago, where Brother Dawn shot about 6 birds, and he told them to say he only shot 3 so they wouldn't know that his eyesight's better than his brother, which is one of the defects that's starting to show up. But Dusk has definitely realised there's something up with his younger self, because he sort of traps him. Well, he doesn't sort of, he totally traps him. He's painting the scene of the hunting from a few episodes back where Brother Dawn lied about the amount of animals that he killed so it wouldn't seem superior to his brother. Now, once Dusk leaves, Dawn puts on the colour corrective lenses and he actually sees that there's 6 birds on the wall instead of 3 and he couldn't see them. So he knows that he's busted. And he gets summoned, and obviously he's worried about getting, terminated, because that's what happens to these guys when there's a defect. And I do think this has happened before. I hope we get a bit of backstory on this, because this can't be the first time one of these clones has gone wrong, otherwise why would they keep backups so readily available? He manages to escape the Empire, and he tries to locate Azura, and he doesn't handle the real world too well, because this is the first time this guy's been in the real world, let alone been by himself, so he's absolutely shitting it. And if he lives, this could be the basis of a resistance to the Empire. Hell, his existence alone is a threat to his brothers. But he finds out that there's been plots going on all along, and Azura is actually after him for the wrong reasons. He gets caught, by another clone. What's happened is they've managed to get hold of the original Cleon's DNA and cloned him so he can then impersonate Brother Dawn, which I know is a bit complicated, but again, it's clones, man. You've got to get your head around this thing. So as you can imagine, he's not too happy that the love of his life has betrayed him, but just when you think everything's about to go to hell and there's about to be complete anarchy in the Empire, because this guy at one point is going to be Brother Day and then run the show, and I think that's an interesting storyline. If he got to that stage, would he give up the power or would he give up the throne? I don't think he'd be sort of that way inclined once he realises he's got everything to lose. But this did completely blow my mind. Like I say, the implications are huge. As Azura already knows the difference, like his colour blindness and the fact that he's left-handed, the clone has already corrected this, so he is going to be a perfect copy. And as I mentioned a minute ago, these guys have managed to get hold of the original Cleon's DNA, so he's actually a more perfect copy than the clone that's just escaped, which is a bit weird, but think about it, if you photocopy the same document 14 or 15 times, it's not going to be in the best condition or original condition. But before it starts, it all ends and the Empire shows up. And Dusk seemed to be anticipating this thing the whole time and he's prepared for it, so it's games on games on games, which is what I was expecting as soon as I heard about the clones and the genetic dynasty. I thought we were going to get this a lot earlier in the season, and I'm surprised it took this long to introduce it. But it's not just the clones that have got a lot on their hands. Salvor has made the other side of the jump and she's on Terminus. But before she arrives, we get a flashback of her when she was a child and she's asking her father where people come from. Now, it does part in the books, but Earth is mentioned, and it's mentioned as a myth that no one really knows where it is or even if it did exist. Both of these things are quite heavy in the books. I don't think the show's going to lean into the Earth thing too much, but it depends on how many seasons it's going to go on. What we see, or what she sees when she jumps, is basically a sort of flash in the past of a few seconds beforehand when the Anacrean Huntress was taking over the bridge. And once she wakes up in Terminus, she realises that Lewis plugged himself into the chair to plot the jump. And again, it's kind of like Battlestar Galactica in the way that the ships work there, especially the Cylon base star. But even after getting there, and there being no real casualties, she's still stuck on the ship. So she jumps to a nearby ship that's been damaged when the Invictus jumps in. Man, I'm saying jump a lot here, and I'm going to say it a lot more. Just get on board with it. But what do these jumps mean? They keep showing us or telling us that it's important, or hinting that it's important about what people see or what people don't see. And this kind of felt like a bit of a letdown for me. I don't know if they're going to focus on it at all in season 2. Now, she can't raise anyone on the planet, and Hugo shows up with reinforcements, and it's okay if you forgot about him. I did as well. She thinks the null field is causing this, and she wants to use the Invictus to help end the crisis, which I have to say, putting a weapon of mass destruction into strangers' hands probably isn't the best move long term. But once she lands on Terminus, she finds that everyone's unconscious, so the null field is taking a huge jump in size. Again, I'm saying jump, sorry. And she finds her mum, who's trying to bring Harry's work that's in that little box. I know it's got a proper name, but I can't remember it, to the vault. And as she takes it, she begins to see her visions again, but she realises, or re-realises, that they're visions through Gal's eyes. So it's the sort of scenes in episode 1 that she's now seeing, but she's seeing it from her perspective, or I should say Gal's perspective. And as soon as she does this, the vault opens and everyone wakes up. The Thespians land and it all kicks off. Now, there's alliances, betrayals, attacks, and Harry appears, and it's not another vision, it's a version of him exactly like the hologram we've seen in previous episodes. And I don't think I mentioned this before, but in the books the messages are just that. They aren't interactive or a copy of Harry. So when I seen the hologram in the last ship, I realised that we're probably going to see him again once the vault opens. So that's potentially 2 Harrys we've got out there guiding or directing both foundations. Now, there's a lot of talk of the importance of history in this episode and how it's used. Is it a record, a story, or could it even be a weapon? And I think the second season of Foundation and the second Foundation is going to get to the core of this, but I don't want to get too much into that because it does get into spoiler territory for the books. But man, I'm really looking forward to one episode to go. This show. It just keeps getting better and better every week. I can't wait to see how Brother Day is going to react once he gets home to Trantor. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, or you can follow me on Twitter at The Geeks Reviews. My name's Al, thanks for watching, and if you've made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel.